All right, y'all, welcome back to the show. Today we are joined by fellow co-host of the Too Bad We Didn't Get the Cars podcast. Got Nick.
I'm Scarpinato.
I'm
Scarpinato now.
Known professionally as Otto.
Nick Scarpinato.
Yes.
Well, David, it's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for having me in your studio. And I'm excited to talk about the band that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, so Origami Angel. And if you're familiar with them, you know exactly what they're all about. But maybe some of you stumbled upon this, have never heard of them. And how would you describe this band?
I would describe this band as if Nirvana had a nerdy baby with who does American football. If Nirvana and American football had a nerdy baby, that would be my best way of describing Origami Angel. But you know, it's hard to describe. They're so hard to describe in one phrase.
Yeah, but basically they combine our two sides of the spectrum in music.
Right, where I have the melodic, vocal heavy, tappy guitar, jazz chords side of things.
And I'm all about the brutalness.
Yeah, like the heavy vocals, blast beats,
and crazy ass guitar riffs.
Yeah,
which there are a couple in here.
And this band so perfectly combines both of our musical sensibilities into one complete package, and we're about to talk about them finally after seeing them twice.
Yeah, so they have a shitload of releases,
right?
But I've grouped them down into 7. So it's like the first couple EPs, 2 albums, and then they just put out 2 other EPs this year, but we smushed them together to one because one of them is literally like 4 minutes long.
3 songs, it's all together like 4 minutes long.
Yeah, it's wacky. But there's a couple things we didn't include, like the split they did with Commander Salamander.
Yeah, honorable mention at least.
Yeah.
Because we did listen to those 2 songs that they put on there, and they're pretty good.
Yeah, Origami Bagel and something else.
Yeah.
And I think there's something else they might have done that we didn't include. But, yeah, man. Just dive right into it.
Yeah. Starting with number 7.
The guest of honor. Yes, number 7.
All right. My number 7 is...
Hey, double whammy. All right, let's go. Double whammy.
So this is hopefully the first of a couple double whammies. And it's not... I want to preface by saying I did not dislike any of these releases by any means, but this is the release that I wouldn't ever listen to again. I wrote in my notes, it kind of sounds like a meme. Quite literally, there are a couple of like sounds, the meme sounds that like I wrote also in my notes, bruh, because there's a song where what's it called, a soundboard. There's like a soundboard button where at the beginning or end of one of their songs they go bruh. But it's basically just, it's not even remixes, but they take songs from their past releases, re-record them, but with a shitty microphone and what sounds like just an in-the-box drum machine and keys and stuff, while also stitching them together with remixes, like trap remixes from Pokemon and Minecraft. But they also have one full original song at the end of the EP, and I'm not sure the story behind the song, but in the second to last, or the EP, but the second to last song, Ryland, the lead singer and guitarist, mentions he thanks people for coming out to listen to the stream.
Yeah.
So I don't know when this was released or how it was released, but if it was part of a bigger online stream, then it kind of makes sense as to why it's structured the way it is. But
yeah, same exact shit I said. Like, I just I don't think remix albums need to exist. Like, the last band I just did, Agalach, they had an EP where it was 2 songs, and they took 2 songs from their last album and just made them different. I'm just like, you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't need this album to exist at all.
Right. I did say, so I really, really liked 24-Hour Delivery / KD MVP. Because I think the way that they translated 24-Hour Drive-Thru into that format was really interesting. And then the last half, it's also the longest song on the EP, but the last half is a I think it's a post-game interview with Kevin Durant, and it's this really emotional story about him addressing a friend from high school, I think, who put a note in his locker that just said KD MVP, and it also might have been at like an awards show. I don't know, but it's played over the, what is that, default Minecraft music?
Yeah, or like the menu music, I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. Overall, it was a good EP, but I don't think I'm ever going to listen to it again.
Why does this exist out of 10?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know.
All right.
Not that I didn't like the EPs together. I think Depart is heavy as hell. Some of the heaviest shit I've ever listened to. It's too short. The songs are way too short. It's meant to be played all together, and I think that's why it's so low on my list for me, is because it's practically just one song.
Yeah.
And then what keeps it from being at the bottom is Live from the UFO. I love that song so much, and that was the only song from this EP, Return, that they played at the last show that we saw them at. Other than that, the other 2 songs are kind of forgettable. Penn Hall and the other one. But yeah, it's very short and sweet. It might be too short and sweet, but
that's literally why I combine them, just because, you know, to get like separately, I don't think I would even include them.
No.
Just because it's just like, there's barely anything here. Their debut EP. And, well, like, SpaceX t-shirts had some, you know, fun tappy riffs that were kind of cool, but like, it's just a very okay EP. Like, it's their first, so I'm not going to judge it too harshly, but there's really not much to see here. Like, none of these songs really stood out to me, like, at all. Besides maybe SpaceX, but only because it had a cool guitar part. But that's about it. Double whammy.
Double whammy?
Double whammy.
Hell yeah.
Gen 3.
So, with Gen 3, I think I have the same criticism as Return Depart, that it's really, really short. But the songs are themselves a little bit longer. And what saves it for me is the combination of the opener and the closer. Ruby and XD Gale of Darkness are so fun. Like, I will just sing Ruby to myself, just the, oh Ruby, like just walking around the house. And XD Gale of Darkness has a really cool, I think it's the only song, or one of the only songs, where Ryland attempts to rap a little bit. And it's not even rapping, it's just like very like structured rhythmic singing. And he drops a line about like green like Trico. I don't know. It was a funny line. But those are the 2 songs that I always think about.
Yeah, the concept behind this EP, A++.
Yeah.
Gen 3 is my shit. Song named after all the games.
Part of the reason why I introduced you to the band was because they had an EP called Gen 3, and I was like, I mean, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah, definitely really cool, but like you said, again, very short. It's like 8 minutes in total.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ruby also gets stuck in my head a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is the only one I kind of fought with, this one and the next one.
Yeah.
But the next one I think has like that one standout track that I really like versus this one where they're all kind of like good. But none of them are great. Yo, this is... Fuck, bro. Another double whammy.
Another double whammy?
Honestly, I think at this rate, we're literally only going to have
one difference.
Ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing the most.
Yeah.
And that one song I was just talking about is Rom Hack.
Dude, Rom Hack's so good.
I thought Rom Hack slayed.
So Rom Hack, I was trying to come up with a term for it, but first of all, this EP, Doing the Most, came right after... It's their second EP. And it came right after Quiet Hours, and I think it's the first, like, real sign that... It's the first, like, real step towards the band that they're inevitably going to become. And it has a couple of, like, Origami Angel isms in it. One of those traits, one of the quirks, is what I call Origami Angel, or Origami, where the beginning and the end of the song sound completely different than the middle, but the beginning and the end are the same. So on this EP, it's Rom Hack, where it starts out with like a riff and like a drum thing. The middle is like almost totally different, and then the end comes back with the riff and the drum thing. And they do that a lot on their later releases. I also really liked Effective Power. I thought that was a really good opener, especially considering that Quiet Hours is so mellow. It really sets the scene for what you're about to listen to. And then personally, Finn, like the last track, it's so goddamn pretty. It's so cool. And they have a cello track in there too, and I just wrote in my notes, Finn cello heart. Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful, just simple arrangements I've ever heard. And it honestly, if I ever get married someday and I have the power to do so, I might ask Origami Angel to come play that. It sounds like a first dance song. I don't know, man. It's so lovely. I think, what keeps it right in the middle is the fact that, like, I also wrote Middle Evolution to sort of throw a Pokemon reference in there. But it kind of feels like it's not quite at its final form yet. But it's definitely getting towards, not even in terms of quality, but just in terms of what they eventually become, feels like the Middle Evolution.
I even wrote, this sounds like, it's kind of like Proto Summer City.
Yeah. It's just like Origami Angel Jr.
Yeah.
So very solid, but the middle two songs are, tracks 3 and 4, I think are kind of either forgettable or they do a lot of, I think one of the tracks had a lot of muddy guitar parts and I was like, I can't tell what's going on just listening to this.
Although I did like also Thanks I Hate It. But I didn't hate it because it had a fun like little bossa nova part.
Yeah.
I thought that was neat, which also comes back later on.
Right.
So,
cool.
Yeah. Solid EP.
For a very specific, I recognize that I'm very biased here. It reminds me of the 90s. It sounds very 90s influenced to me, but there are two bands that come to mind when I was listening to this EP. One, Third Eye Blind, and I love Third Eye Blind so much. Their debut album is so good. At least I really like it, and it reminded me of the song February Stars by Foo Fighters. So it kind of reminded me of Colors in the Shape, but bits of it. Yeah, and I think because it separates itself so much from the rest of their discography, it's kind of refreshing for me to listen to. Kind of the same way that I really like listening to There's Nothing Left to Lose by the Foo Fighters, because it feels so different. So even if it's not their best album, I think just that the combo of it being meaningful to me as a music listener, but also the fact that it's kind of like a breath of fresh air. It's super mellow. It's so chill. But it's got a lot of tappy guitar stuff. and really interesting melodies. I think specifically, SpaceX T-shirt. I really like Hey There as well. And then notice the end of the EP starts out really, really quiet, and then it gets super heavy, like for the last half. So I really like that.
Only because Depart.
Yeah.
I'll be real.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Dude, it's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly didn't think they had this, like, brutalness in them. But my God. And it also comes with an entire bonus EP.
Yeah.
With Return.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, I think it's kind of along the same lines as Quiet Hours. But I think I prefer that one anyway.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, with Judge
Ooh.
and Foe, like, man, just has such crazy riffs. And one of them just has straight blast, like, for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's Judge. But, yeah, for only being a couple minutes long, it really just, like, beats your ass so hard.
Right. And then it's over, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
And
so
it's
you
like,
listen to it again.
Can I have a whole album of this, please?
Yeah. And I think what's so interesting about Return to Part is exactly why we both like this band in the first place is it's like two sides of the same coin, and one EP feels like it was written for me, and one EP sounds like it's written for David.
Yeah.
But I as far as mellow Origami Angel goes, I think I prefer Quiet Hours to Return, even though Return is good. Like I said, I don't dislike anything, but I'm assuming we have the same 2 and 1.
Yeah. It's like, obviously, these short-ass EPs weren't going to, like, get to the top.
Right.
Because we do have these 2 full-length albums, and even one of them is still in, like, a half hour.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to introduce number 2?
Yes. Number 2,
Fucking Gami Gang.
I talked about this album last year because this came out in 21, so it was included in my ranking video of like all the albums a while ago, and I think it was somewhat lower.
Yeah.
And but like going through it again, there were definitely a lot to like about this album.
Yeah.
First off, we have Mobius Chicken Strips, which has some real fun moments in it.
Yeah.
The IA. What was the IA song? Isotop.
Isopropic methanol.
Yeah.
Isopropic.
I think the intro to that song is so damn good. It's like one of my favorite intros to any of their songs ever.
Isopropyl alchemy.
Yeah, such a pain in my ass. And then we have Neutrogena Splendor. I always recognize that song because there's this really specific drum fill.
Yeah.
Where he rolls on the tom and alternates between the bell and the hi-hat. That just always like, oh, it's that fucking song. That's how I always know it's that one. But I also think that's like the main standout song on this album because it has like the crowd moment where it's like, that's me, you know?
Yeah.
And then we also have that heavy ass outro. We got fucking Bossa Nova core.
Yep.
Bringing back that Bossa Nova we were talking about earlier. Spoons rattling. Love the lyrics in that song. Fucking Tom Holland Oates has a really cool, not cool, but like it's like an outtake in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Which I think is kind of amusing. Whole song slays in it. But like there's a lot of okay stuff on this album. But to be fair, so does the number 1 album. So I'm not going to dock it too hard. But like, compared to the other one, yeah, I wouldn't take it. But there are a lot of really fun moments, especially with all the samples.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like I recognize every single one of them.
Again, it's like, it's so weird because these are all moments from shows and stuff that we grew up on, so it almost feels like they lived our childhoods too.
Yeah, there's a Malcolm in the Middle one.
There's an Office linebacker Terry Tate one. I don't think anyone has watched those.
I've never heard because I love the shit out of those videos, but I don't remember anyone else ever talking about them.
No.
And then they threw it in this album, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the album ends with like, what was it? That's baseball or whatever.
I forget they. So my song highlights. It's interesting because I have different highlights, and I think it's because you like the heavier songs on the album, and I like the more melodic driven ones. Like I wrote Self-Destruct. I think they opened with that one the last time we saw them. I like No Offense. I also like Neutrogena Spectre. But I also like Footloose Cannonball Brothers. The If the Shoe Fits, like the very like catchy one. Yeah. And then I also wrote Bossa Nova Core. So obviously there are some songs that combine both elements of this band that we really like, but I think the production on this album is the cleanest out of anything that they've ever put out. But honestly, I think there are too many songs. I think they went from having too short of songs or like not enough songs to having 20. Yeah. And it's like, of course there's going to be stuff to like in it, but I feel like same thing with double albums. As soon as you make more than like 15 on a single like body of work, you're bound to have like more, like your chances of having better songs are higher, but your chances of having worse songs is also higher. So yeah. It doesn't feel like a something that I would listen to in one go. It feels like something that I would listen to on shuffle or in halves. So it doesn't feel as complete as the number one album does.
Yeah. Speaking of, Somewhere City,
dude,
not even close.
It's not really.
You also have the CD version here.
And the one in my car.
Yeah. So we just have this album on deck.
Yeah.
But I only bought this on vinyl because I bought it the first time we saw them, and they didn't say they were planning on doing the CD again. And
right.
The second time they had the CDs. So I was like, well, fuck.
Yeah, and we didn't think they were going to go on tour by themselves. Like, they had a headlining tour probably like months after they were opening for the Wonder Years. And they went across the country. We saw them in Detroit. That was our Detroit video on the podcast. But this was actually the first thing I ever heard from this band was 24-Hour Drive-Thru. And it was on my Discover Weekly playlist on Spotify, which just throws random shit at you based on your listening history. And for the most part, I don't really find artists or songs that either A, I haven't heard before, or B, I have, really like, but, chances are they haven't put anything out in years because they either broke up or whatever. So I felt really, really lucky when I found this song. And I went back, listened to the album again, realized, oh shit, they use samples from stuff that we've heard before, and oh shit, they mentioned Pokemon, and and there's a bunch of blast beats and like heavy parts, but there's also like these everything that I love about this band was originally discovered on this album. I truly think it's one of my favorite albums of all time. Not that I think it's a perfect album or anything, but I think it's perfect for me, and it feels like it was written for us. And
most notably with Dr. Whomst.
Oh, dude.
Which is my favorite song by the band.
Yeah.
Because my fuck, that ending is ridiculous.
Uh-huh. It's even crazier live, because they go even slower live in the breakdown. And
I didn't talk about this on my show.
Yeah.
But when we saw them and that song came on, I was like going pretty ham. And I bashed some dude's like head. I fucked up my nose so hard that I can still feel it. It's been like a month and a half.
Yeah.
And I could still feel my nose like hurt a little bit.
It was fucked, dude.
I hit him so goddamn hard.
Yeah.
Because that song is so goddamn good.
Yeah, we were in the bathroom for a good half an hour of the set.
Yeah.
Luckily it was a small venue so you could hear everything still. Yeah, dude, I have my highlights: 24-Hour Drive-Thru, obviously 666 Flags, Dr. Whomst. I also wrote the title track. I really like the way that Escape Rope bleeds into the title track, which leads into another reason why I like this album so much is I don't know if it's a concept album, but based on the fact that with the vinyl, they printed out and drew a whole map of Somewhere City. Everything is connected and every song has like a location, combined with the fact that this album is a perfect loop. Like it opens and it closes with the same like instrumentation and like the same melody, and like you could play it on loop. I don't know, man. It feels like the complete package. Like, is it the perfect album? No. There are definitely some songs on here that are kind of forgettable, but when you're in the middle of it and when you're listening to the whole album top to bottom, I don't even think about it. I don't even think about which songs are middle of the road and which songs are like better, because it's just like it's the whole thing.
It also is only like a half hour.
Yeah, so it's an easy listen. It's if you're looking for a first step into this very weird and very specific and niche band, this is a good place to start, because it has everything that I like about the band on it. I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yep.
And it's also just, yeah, it's a cool branch off of like pop punk and like melodic, not melodic core, but I don't know. Again, it's hard to classify these guys. Also, it's just two of them.
Yeah, two guys.
It's two guys.
Crazy.
And I think Ryland records bass and like any additional guitar stuff too, but when they play live, like they have tracks, but that's it. It's tracks, them two, and they get rooms of crowds that fill, like they sell out shows.
Yeah.
And people in the audience are able to sing along to like every song. It's nuts.
Yeah, bro. Honestly, I had the same shit, but like, yeah, this album, like half of it are like 5 out of 5s.
Yeah.
With that trio with 24-hour drive-thrus, Six Flags, and Tombs. And then I also, like, the last half is kind of okay, besides the title track. It's not Somewhere City, it's literally called the title track.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Some goofy shit.
Some goofy shit. But I feel like these guys are all about goofy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, if they watched Malcolm in the Middle growing up, if they, like Pokemon and play Rocket League, like they're just nerdy dudes who are really fucking good at their instruments.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is our list. And if you are a fan, let us know. And yeah, I don't have much else to say.
Me neither. I guess.
Yeah, check out this band if you are unfamiliar with them. Dr. Hooms, look it up.
Yeah, at least give them a try, because I know.
It was. I didn't love them at first.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time for them to grow on you. Especially, I think the first hurdle for me was Ryland's voice, because it is a lot higher and it sounds a little whinier than most people are probably used to. But I think for you, it was seeing them live that really kind of cemented, these guys are fucking good.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know when it hit me. I think it was just, I don't know. It was one of those things where I heard 24-hour drive-thru and I finished my playlist and I was like trying to think back on if there were any highlight songs that I really liked that I wanted to listen to again. And from there, it was just, the more I listened to it, the more I was able to appreciate about the band. And now I'm a pretty avid fan. So the next time they're on tour, Origami Angel, Ryland, Pat. Ryland and Pat.
Yeah.
I thought it was Zach. Sorry, Pat. Ryland and Pat, if and when you guys go on tour again, please stop by Chicago again. We promise we'll buy tickets on time so we don't have to buy tickets to the Detroit show and drive 4 hours to see you.
And I will not get into the pit in Dr. Hoops again.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try to crowd surf, though.
Maybe.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Peace.